Hey, welcome guys back to Musings of Matter channel. This is Maverick here and ready to bring you guys an entirely new series, A Place Further Than the Universe, Sora Yori mo Tooi Basho. So, before we begin, I'm sure that there's hopefully, there's some new viewers here who have stumbled upon my channel for the first time. Welcome guys. Just to give you guys a quick guide to how I normally do my videos, I will always have a introduction or recap at the very beginning of each video, my blind reaction throughout, and then at the end I will be focusing more on some, discussion, review, and potentially some theory crafting and predictions for how the story will go, right? And I do like to concentrate my efforts a bit more on this latter part. I'm not really that much of a hype reactor, if you will, or emotional reactor. But with that being said, let's get into the introductory part right now. This is an older anime, I know. The reason I'm doing this anime right now is two reasons, right? One, this was the runner-up for my poll from last season in regards to what series you guys want me to watch. Sort of like a viewer polling or somewhat. The one that won was Your Lie in April. Second place was A Place Further in the Universe. And, honestly, on a personal level, this is actually the type of genre that, although a little bit embarrassing, I will fully admit I really like very much, right? Cute girls doing cute things. Well, not necessarily doing cute things, but cute girls doing things, right? I love, one of my favorite animes is Madoka. And, of course, I also like other stuff such as, all females cast doing some various badass stuff, right? Such as Girls in Panzer, or in terms of music, K-On!, or in terms of adventure, something like Moretsu Space Pirates, right? But anyways, so this is something that I really want to do as well. And considering I don't really know much about this, to be honest. I've read the synopsis. I know that it's 4 girls heading to Antarctica, which in of itself is already quite intriguing to me. I see its tag is comedy. Is that really so, or is this more slice of life, or is this going to get emotional? Don't really know, although I do have a sneaking suspicion considering the high score that it has. Western tastes, especially for those ratings on my anime list, I would reckon that this is probably going to be an emotional one, right? Eastern viewers, especially Japanese viewers, and Western viewers generally have different tastes here. In terms of the actual anime production, right, I do know that it's an original anime being produced by Madhouse, which has, varying quality in terms of its animation, although looking at some of the stills of this anime, I do believe that this is falling on the good side of things, right? The main voice actors, most of those I really like. We have the ever ambiguous, ubiquitous Hanakana, right? She's like in literally everything. And Sari and Minori, these are 2 voice actors that I like as well. Iguchi-san, sorry, I haven't really seen any of her works, but potentially, this is a good time to get acquainted with her, I guess. On that note, let's see, what else? I don't really know the director for this anime. I haven't really seen any works from her. And the one thing I will mention is the sound director is Kitagawa Jin, right? He's the sound director for a lot of works. He's had some masterpieces and some fairly average ones. Considering how critically acclaimed this series is, again, I'm leaning more towards the masterpiece kind of route. So, potentially the soundtrack or BGM for this anime is also something to look forward to as well. So, anyways, I think that's been enough of an introduction. Without further ado, let's get into the episode. Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. I'm actually really excited for this. This is something that I would probably have watched in due time, with or without you guys voting for it. Okay, just already looking at the artwork, yeah, it's really good already. I can't. I mean, they're high. I remember they're high school girls, right? So that's probably her mom. She seriously looks like she got hangover. Got a hangover. Things I want to do in school. Ah. Stuff you do before you complete high school. Okay, pretty interesting animations though. Hmm? Oh, opening time. Alright. Since this is the first time, I will be watching the opening and ending, but I will be muting it to avoid copyright problems. I wonder if the opening is sung by the voice actors. Saya. Okay, so they already got there? Huh. I thought it was going to be a story of how they got there. Alright. Seishun Youth. Only in second year? I thought you were about to graduate or something. Hmm. Why don't you? Hmm. Yeah. A sister. Alright. Have I ever ditched high school before? Let me think about this. I haven't completely ditched it before, but I have ditched some classes before. Not the whole day, though. Of course, college is another story completely. I've ditched classes left and right in college. Alright, girl, what you gonna do? Oh, come on, girl. This? Ah. Chicken out? Hmm. Alright. Back hurts you. Oh. The fated encounter. Did you make it? Are they gonna talk on the train, or? No, guess not. Mm. Or you could just literally take it to the police now. Oh, here she is. Hmm? What kind of thought process is it that you would want to talk to her in the frickin' bathroom? Quite the pretty girl. Okay. So another Gap Moy type of character? To get 1 million yen? That's actually quite a lot for a high school. Just from part-time jobs. Her nickname is literally Antarctica. That's like 10,000 USD. Ah, there it is. Hey. Antarctica, right? Let's see. Do I have any trivia information about that? I seem to recall that the first expedition group to reach the South Pole. No, they succeeded, and the second expedition that went shortly. Well, it was a race to get to the South Pole, right? And I believe that one of the, basically the second place expedition got completely wiped out. Like, the entire expedition literally perished. And so that's why she... Oh. Already the ending song? Really? Okay. I really like this ending song, actually. Ah, she's actually heading there. Okay. Oh wait, or was that actually just an insert song? Alright. Ooh. Okay, now this is the ending song, right? Okay. You know, just taking a JR to Hiroshima is quite expensive. Alright. And they're actually taking a Shinkansen as well. Yep, expensive. She's impressed. Okay, so this song was actually sung by all the voice actors. The insert song wasn't. Okasan to her mom. Okay. Shirase. Do tell. Mm-hmm. Oh. Okay, this is the fourth girl, I'm guessing. Seishun, right? Typically translated as youth. Every time I encounter this word, I always want to bring this up and how even though, in most translations you would just translate seishun as youth, and technically you'd be correct, honestly, to me, these two things are different. There's not really a word to correctly encompass the concept of seishun, and really it stems from it's just such a big cultural difference in terms of education between those from Asian countries and those of Western countries, right? It's when you ask the word seishun or youth to an Asian student or a Western student respectively, it's what they're thinking of is entirely different things, and that's why even though you could say youth and is the same as seishun, it's fundamentally it's not. It's really not. And I've had the opportunity of both studying in Western countries in the US as well in my home country as well, which is back here in Asia, where we follow a education system, more similar to the Japanese style, if you will. So, just picture this, right? Picture this. In the US, I'm taking the US as an example because, I've been there, I've studied there, right? Mid school, high school, you're like, what? You get to school at, I don't know, something like, I kind of forgot, 8 p.m.? Sorry, 8 a.m.? Sometime around that time? Or is it 9 a.m. or something? I think 8 a.m., right? 8 a.m. And then you might leave school at around 3 p.m. or 4 p.m., something similar to that. And then potentially you might have some club activities and whatnot. In Asian countries, right? Like the school I attended was a private school. I needed to get to school at 7:30 a.m. in the morning. And then, literally with the same exact group of people throughout the entire day. And then even after school, we had these mandatory self-study sessions because, in Asian countries, if you're going to high school, most of the time it's trying to prepare you for college as well. And so, I could only, get off school at 9 p.m. 7:30 a.m. till 9 p.m. at night. Every day, 5 days a week, right? And of course, since mine was a private school, we were a little bit more strict than public schools or whatnot. But even in public schools, a lot of the students would be going to cram schools after school as well. So in the end, it also sort of balances out. You rarely see any student who's not studying in some kind of capacity until at least 8 or 9 p.m. every single day. And sometimes, potentially, even on weekends, they would have cram school sessions. So it's just, when a lot of people might wonder, why is it that Japanese like to put so much emphasis during their mid-school life or high school life? Well, how come all these animes and mangas and whatnot focus on these school lives, right? And they're always doing some really, really ridiculous things. The simple answer is because normally you would absolutely have no time to do anything, right? Skipping school, breaking into school, these kinds of things are just things we dreamed of doing when we were in high school. And no, don't get me wrong, skipping school and breaking into school like at night or something, those are absolutely things that happen, right? I've done some things similar to that as well, but it just gives an entirely different context of doing this compared to, again, you must remember, this is a situation where you're literally with this exact same class of people, from maybe, depending on how big the school is, how big the class is, ranging from like 20 people to 50 people per class, right? You are with these people day in, day out for 3 years, right? It's just an entirely different concept from studying in the West, and then rotating for every single different class. You would have different classmates and whatnot, and you would potentially even have different agendas from day to day. It might not meet the same teacher, it might not meet the same people, so on and so forth, right? And so it's just different, right? And even romance is different as well, especially if in Asian countries, potentially you might have romance with your classmate, right? And that that's another whole can of worms that I'm not going to go into, but it's just different, right? And so these kinds of anime always, at least for me personally, it always strikes my heart, because I would have absolutely loved to do something like this when I was in high school or mid school or whatnot. Don't get me wrong, of course you can also go on adventures or whatnot while you're in your high school or mid school years, even in Asian countries, but it's just, you have a lot less opportunities to do so than, say, if you're using a Western style education, right? So yeah, so every time I watch a work that deals with these kinds of things, right, it's more school life, slice of life or whatnot, just trying to do some things after school, whatnot, I just feel very nostalgic, and also a little bit sad at the same time, right? Because I've long passed that time of my life, and there are definitely lots of things that I wish I could have done during high school or mid school as well, which simply was not feasible in any way, shape, or form, because, well, it's just impossible, right? Perhaps even more impossible than taking a trip to Antarctica, which we'll get to in a minute, right? But at the same time, I also feel like I'm kind of getting old in a way, because this entire time, even though I say that I absolutely envy them being in this position to do these kinds of crazy and wacky things, then I feel like one thing that really probably is a sign that I'm getting really old now is, the biggest impression that I had of the entire second half, when they were traveling to Hiroshima to look at the ship. My entire thought process was, dang, that is one hell of an expensive ticket to get there, right? Because if you want to get from Tokyo to Hiroshima, one-way trip, that's around $200 on the Shinkansen bullet train, right? And so round trip, that would total out to about $400, and even as a working adult of many years now, that's still not money that I can just throw, not to mention that these are just high school students, right? So I hope for their sake they're actually going to have a fun time in Hiroshima as well, and not literally just look at the ship and then go back on the same day, right? That'd be a huge waste. And, in regards to the actual story, right? Okay, it's been 7 minutes and I haven't even talked about the actual story yet. I can absolutely see why Mari has this sort of longing for Shirase in a sort of sense, right? Her entire character build-up is that she's this timid and sort of cowardly person who is really afraid of making the first step, right? And seeing Shirase have such conviction, a set goal and moving towards that goal inspires her to also do something similar as well, to take out the first step and whatnot. No problems there, right? I can absolutely see this this happening in this sort of way. Now, in regards to the goal of going to Antarctica, though, and speaking of Antarctica, sorry, a little bit of a tangent here, but what I was trying to mention during the episode, the piece of trivia in regards to Antarctica was in regards to the first and second expeditions the first and second successful expeditions to the South Pole, because potentially there might have been some failed expeditions before. More specifically, the first expedition led by that got to the South Pole was led by Roald Amundsen, and then the second expedition led by Robert Scott. And the second expedition actually reached the South Pole about a month later, but on the return trip, the whole party got wiped out, perished, died on the way back, right? It's actually really interesting, the entire circumstances between these two expeditions, so if you guys have any, interest in this sort of thing at all, I do recommend you guys to check it out. So anyways, that's just a tangent. In regards to the goal of Antarctica, right? Now, honestly, halfway through the episode, I was thinking if maybe this is going to be one of those cases where even though they have this sort of set goal, they're never actually going to reach it or even make substantial progress towards it, right? Because, with the opening and whatnot, sure, we see them in Antarctica and, playing around, taking pictures and whatnot, but at the same time, it is kind of ridiculous if you think about it, right? So I was wondering if this might be something similar to, say, K-On!, for example, where early on they had this dream or goal of holding a Budokan concert, but that never really got anywhere, right? In the end, it was what was more important was the friends that they made, right? Forming this kind of close bond and, getting through various different situations as they go through life, as they go through their high school, right? All the way up until they graduate. So I was thinking halfway through, perhaps this is going to be an anime similar to that as well. Even though they have this goal of going to Antarctica, they're never actually going to make any real progress towards it. Like, they might go on a ship and then go out and have some test drive, some test cruises or whatnot, but they're never actually going to get within Antarctica, much less set foot on it. And I'm saying this because I know nothing about this series, right? I think I've managed to avoid all spoilers up to now, so not really sure, right? But on the other note, on the counter note, I actually didn't know this before, so I looked it up, and it's actually not that hard to get into Antarctica, right? As long as you have money, there are plenty of these tours or travel packages, whatnot, that will take you to Antarctica for ranging from $5,000 to $20,000, depending on the different plan and how luxurious you want to be, right? So it's definitely not the same as how they mentioned within the episode that you can only go there as part of an expedition or whatnot, right? Unless you count these sort of tours as expeditions as well, which personally I don't. So considering that Shirase already has 1,000,000 yen, which is about 10,000 USD, she can absolutely go already, right? Of course, she's starting from Japan, but even so, taking into account airplane tickets and whatnot, she could still easily go right now, right? Of course, there's still the problem of maybe parental consent or whatnot, considering she's a minor, but technically she already has everything she needs right now. You don't need any certifications or any license or whatnot to get into Antarctica. Just prepare the money, if you will. So that's that. So it's also possible that they're actually going to get to Antarctica, but at the same time, though, we know that there's going to be 4 main characters, right? There's this 4-girl team that are trying to get to Antarctica. So how exactly are they going to get the money or funds for the other 3 girls? That's also a problem, right? So then I'm reverting back again to, maybe they're actually not going to be able to get there, right? I'm still 50-50 on this right now. It could go either way. So we'll probably see how it actually goes in the next few episodes. And I'm also basing this because this is literally only a 13-episode anime, and are they going to be able to get all this done within 13 episodes? I don't know, right? So, whatever. And then also, considering that one of the main characters' name is Shirase, and then the ship is also Shirase, I wonder if there's some sort of connection between there as well, as part of this entire story or whatnot. But again, we'll probably know more from next episode, and also get introduced to the rest of the girls as well. And so yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of the actual fundamentals of this anime, you know, like art, music, and whatnot. You know, absolutely fine, right? The art is great, the animation is great, the music is great, and the song selection is great as well. Although personally I like the insert song more than the opening or ending, but maybe give it time, it might grow on me, right? The only kind of minor minor thing I have to pick with this is in the not quite character design. The character design is okay, but the facial expressions. The facial expressions seem really weird to me in certain scenes, right? Especially in regards to Shirase. Now, I don't know if this is a deliberate stylistic choice or whatnot, but it's just, I don't know, it looks eerie to me, if you will. So, but that's literally it. The rest, really nothing to complain about, honestly. It looks to be a very well-produced animation. So now it's just a matter of if the story is actually engaging enough. What exactly is it trying to accomplish here? Are we going to see, you know, just basically the bonding between these four girls and growing closer and closer together? Or are they actually going to be able to set sail and try to get on Antarctica and maybe encounter various situations there, right? I don't know. And it will be fun to find out. So, that was it for the first episode of A Place Further in the Universe. Let me know what you guys think, if there's anything you want me to change or whatnot. And if not, then I will see you guys next time. So stay tuned, and bye-bye.